Rural and Urban America by Colin Cantrell and Charlie Weiss. Rural America is the area of America where there is an abundance of countrysides, less population, homes are far apart, families care for farms and animals, and is the origin of natural resources. Many families live in rural areas, are self-sustaining, planting the crops and raising animals for the food they rely on. Urban America is more modern. Homes are closer together, population is more condensed, and often families work outside the home. Urban families are dependent on supplies from the rural families for basic food needs such as milk, eggs, and vegetables. These are very different lifestyles, but as mentioned, in order for urban America to grocery shop, they need the products coming from rural America. Urban and rural communities have a symbiotic relationship. This means they are interdependent. Some examples are that rural communities depend on factory workers to build tractors to help them plow, and grocery store owners will produce their agricultural goods. It is easy to see that these are independent relationships. I created this timeline to show the advancements in communication over the years. Rural lifestyles have improved greatly with technological advancements. Newspapers to advertise or share information about farming techniques. Television helps them to see weather patterns. Telephones, cell phones all help to conduct businesses more quickly. The McCormick harvester, motorized tractors, and cars help save time from farming. I did one other timeline to show the advancements in transportation over the centuries. Transporting goods to many people became possible instead of just caring for your own community. With advancements, rural Americans can get out of the country and do business in the city. Urban lifestyle has changed with advancements. People want to live where they work. Communication, goods, travel, and transportation are readily available in urban areas. Jobs were created. People came to depend on instant gratification. Information can be conveyed instantly. If someone needs you, you can even travel to them within hours. Assembly lines began a trend of mass producing goods, also good for business. Between 1800 and 2000, population growth changed a lot because of advancements in technology and industry. You'll see here that between 1800 and 1850, urban population growth accounted for only 18%, while rural accounted for 82%. From 1850 to 1900, urban and rural populations grew at approximately the same rate. 1900 through 1950, urban population growth accounted for 78% and rural only 22%. 1950 through 2000, urban population growth accounted for 97% and rural for 3% overall. As technologies made it easier to travel and communicate and produce things, urban and population growth rose very quickly. This slide shows many of the main events that affected rural and urban living. So in the 1900s, the McCormick harvester, it was a great time saver for farmers, so it helped out their business. Then Henry Ford, he created the automobile and helped the mass production of automobiles, so the general populations could have one. It obviously helped them get to their jobs. The assembly lines, it was a mass production. It made it so there was a mass production of goods, so a lot more money for the urban businesses. Tenement housing was basically, they were building up more. It was more like an apartment. They were building up instead of to the side, like taking up so much space. So the population could live together in the same house, but it was just on different floors. The dust bowls, it basically moved around the people to try and get them to different places. So obviously the rural went to the urban to try and find jobs, but at that time it was the Great Depression, so there were no jobs because the Dust Bowls. So the mass transit, more people could go more places. It basically moved them. It basically helped people get to their jobs if they didn't have a car, if they were not wealthy enough to have a car. The U.S. is more of an industrialized nation than a farming nation. Population-wise, we are concentrated in urban areas. Space-wise, our country contains much more rural land than developed urbanized land. I made this pie chart to compare industrialized areas versus rural areas. Here's the issue. Just because there are fewer people living in rural areas compared to urban, is it fair that they receive less money, attention, and support from the U.S. government? According to the Department of Commerce Census Bureau, rural families have notably lower incomes than urban families and are more often in poverty. If our government accepts that rural families are worth less or are not equal to urban families, the government also accepts that they'll have less freedom, more dependence on the government, they'll have less opportunity to take the pursuit of happiness, and it isn't worth fighting for their individual rights. We could give rural areas more attention by increasing funding, by starting up federal programs for farmers to help businesses, to promote farming as a profession, and make laws to help farmers export easier.